Motion control is a very broad term, having different meanings in different fields. In the field of film and TV production, it refers to the precise and repeatable control of the position and speed of a camera. For those of you not familiar with the Milo motion control system, let me acquaint you with this one. This is a Milo motion control rig, the most commonly used motion control rig. You'll find one in every major filming center on every continent of the world. The camera here sits on the end of the arm, and there are 12 axes or degrees of motion. I'll show you them. First, there's the track, as it moves along the rails. The swing. It's the lift. Arm extension. And a very unusual axis on this rig called the angle, which allows us to get full range of motion. From 12 feet high to ground level. On the end of the head is a pan tilt roll head with the usual axes of pan, tilt, and roll. We also have control of the camera shutter and focus, and optionally zoom and iris, as well as model mover axes if you need them to move things in the set. So here's how you program a move. Move the rig with the handheld box to your start position. Store that. Then move it to an end position. Store the end position. Assign it a time, in this case about 4 seconds, and you have a move that's ready to shoot. And forwards. Now that's a simple straight line move. For a curve move, you need a third point. I'll run this move partway through. Insert a keyframe there. Reframe slightly and store that point. The camera then goes to the beginning of the move. And you'll see through the move the camera doing an arc. Moves can be entered in different ways. You can also use the hand wheels. Traditionally, keyframe the movement of the rig and then give the hand wheels to the director of photography. He can get the exact frame he wants throughout the shot, and every action he does is recorded and then can be played back again at a later time. Now I've shown you the basics of it, let's go through and see the different ways and techniques the motion control rig can be used. While there are many uses of motion control, they fall into two broad categories. First and foremost, in terms of usage, is the repeat pass. The motion control rig can repeat the exact same move again and again as many times as you like. In each pass, something is changed, either a person, or an object, or even a background. The resultant footage is then composited together. Compositing is a visual effects term meaning to combine a piece of footage together. The result is these elements appear together at the same time, where in fact they were never there. The other main use of motion control is the exact precise control of the camera, where the movement is so precise it would be beyond the capability of a boom operator or a dolly grip. We'll start off with the first class of motion control shot, which is a repeat pass, which is where the motion control rig is used as a true visual effects tool. I'll go through some examples, but this is by no means a complete list of all the uses. This is a fairly straightforward use of motion control, where you do the same move twice. First shoot it with the actor in one position, then shoot it with the actor in the other position. Two shots can be composited together, and the same person appears twice in the same shot. Here's a good example. In this shot we have Britney Spears as singer, and Britney Spears as the film star Lucky. The move is choreographed with Britney and a stand-in, and then shot first with Britney as Lucky the film star, and then Britney the singer. The two shots were composited together, and she appears singing to herself. In this shot for Dodge, the main talent was shot about 10 times in different places, Here you can see him appearing again and again in the same shot.
Why didn't you call those people back?
Yeah,
David, why didn't you listen to customer feedback?
And why didn't you study?
Study. Why did you...
If you can repeat one person, you can repeat many people. If you want a crowd of thousands, you can't afford to get in all the extras you need for that. So take 50 or 60 people, shoot them 10 times, and suddenly you have hundreds and hundreds of people. In this music video of the Backstreet Boys by Francis Lawrence, the alleyway appears to be filled with people. In reality, there are only about 30 or 40 extras. Each time the movie was shot, they were positioned in a different part of the street, and when composited together, it looks like hundreds of people. It doesn't have to be people, it can be objects as well. In the Subaru shot, a few cars were repositioned and reshot to fill the whole freeway. Being able to shoot people, animals or events with the same move at different times has its uses with safety as well. In this shot, it would have been dangerous to have Eddie Murphy and the tiger in the same space at the same time. So Eddie Murphy was shot first, and the tiger shot afterwards. That way, there was no chance of an expensive actor getting eaten. Animals do not generally like working around other animals. They tend to interfere with each other, and you can't get the performance you require. Also, you often need a trainer very close to the animal to get him to do exactly the motions you want. So with motion control, you can shoot each animal one at a time and put them all together in post. In this shot, a whole food chain of animals is filmed, one at a time. In the final composite, it looks like they're all there in the scene together.
Well, I like elephants, but I couldn't eat a whole one.
A clean pass means shooting the background without any foreground elements in it. This can be done to remove unwanted elements from the shot, such as rigging, or any other item that has to be in the shot that you don't want there in the final sequence. In this Windows XP shot, a flying rig was used to move the people through the shot. This was removed with a later clean pass. A background element is often referred to as a plate. If a subject is filmed against a blue or green screen with a particular camera move, that move can be replayed against different backgrounds, and then the person can appear to change seamlessly from one background to another.
Jealous, you just can't stand to see me get along.
Here we have Sinead performing while the background changes seamlessly from an airport terminal to a park to a bedroom. The whole move is programmed before with a stand-in, and Sinead was only on set for a few hours. And over the next day and a half, we moved the rig to different locations and filmed the background plates without Sinead even needing to be there.
I'm wanting you like I do. I would have stayed if you wanted, would have been willing, but you said I treat you so badly, I can't be forgiven. You know I would have done anything to make it through with you, but I don't deserve to be lonely just 'cause you say I do. You're jealous, you don't know.
Of course, you can change the foreground as well as the background. In this Radio Shack spot, stairways change to escalators and typewriters change to computers, showing the modernization of things. Let me explain them shot by shot.
That's because they're more than accessories, Terry.
The first pass has the stairs, typewriter and frame with tape recorder. The next pass has the escalator, new computer and talking frame. Here we have a clean pass of the background. Then here's our performance piece with Terry and Harry. Next we have a composite of the performance with the foreground elements of stairs, typewriter, etc. Then we have a composite of the exact same performance piece with the modern items. The final shot uses a graphic effect to transition between these two composites.
Technologies into new products. We call them shaccessories.
That's because they're more than accessories, Terry.
Howie, go have a seat.
Changing foreground elements often involves morphing. In this Jewel music video, a morph is used as a transition between Jewel and the different characters in the music video. Morphing isn't a different use of motion control, it's just a way of transitioning between different characters. Here we have a behind-the-scenes shot of the move on the girl in the crowd. We now see the exact same move continuing with Jewel. Then the same move on the Chinese woman in the soldier's arms. Here's the final shot again. You may have noticed that the music is slightly speeded up in the behind-the-scenes shots. That's because the move was shot at a slightly faster than live-action camera speed, 30 frames a second, instead of the usual 24. This allows the artist's movements to be slowed by 20%, giving a smoother feel to the scene. This is really just another kind of foreground element change. In this shot, we shot the clean background and then our foreground artist. And by mixing between the two, he can appear to fade in or fade out.
In my life I see where I've been.
In this Fiona Apple music video, the people smashing up the diner were shot at 72 frames per second, while Fiona was shot at 36 frames per second.
Words are flowing out like endless rain into a paper cup. They slither while they pass, they slip away across the universe. Pools of sorrow, waves of...
The result in the final shot is that Fiona's movement is slowed a little, but the people in the background are moving at half her speed. The principle of this shot is simple. It must be remembered that if one is shooting at a higher frame rate, say 48 frames per second instead of 24, the speed the rig itself must perform the move is proportionally faster. There are limits to how fast any rig can move, so it is vital to plan and test a move at the fastest frame rate one intends to shoot. Shooting at slower speeds is never a problem. In this compact spot, the extras were shot at different speeds, some appearing faster than normal and some slower.
The compact Presario 1200T with an Intel Celeron processor, TFT display, 128 megabytes of memory, and JBL.
Another effect that has been utilized here is the ghosting of the extras. By shooting a clean plate and doing a 50% mix with the extras pass, the ghosting effect is achieved.
Free shipping on your notebook, plus a free upgrade to Windows XP Home Edition.
Traditional motion control was always shot at very slow camera speeds, or even single frame. In this next spot, there's an interesting transition from single frame animation through to live action. Stop motion animation has declined in recent years, being replaced by computer graphics. So this example was a rare occasion for us. The shirt was animated in single frames, through to the point where it was standing up. and then the colored shirt was puppeteered from a Video Sys lineup. The move and 2 of the conveyor belts were run from motion control. So far, I've covered shooting the exact same move, even if in different places. You can also shoot an identically shaped, but bigger or smaller move. This shot from a Radio Shack spot consists of 2 elements, a foreground set with the talent performing, and a miniature set.
Even cordless shavers. Right, Ving? I'll demonstrate.
The camera tracks our talent in the foreground set. Then we have the same move on the same foreground set with real-size boxes moving on the conveyor belt behind. This was done to give them the option of replacing the names on the boxes. We then have the same move done clean against black. This is done because in the green screen pass, the reflectance of the metal surfaces will pick up and reflect unwanted green. A matte can be pulled from the green screen pass, but we can use the shiny surfaces from this black pass to replace any that are reflecting green from the first pass. Here's the miniature set. Our move is identically shaped, but proportionately smaller. And here we have the finished spot, with miniature background composited with live-action foreground.
The place is Radio Shack. Get your hard-to-find batteries for your electronics, no matter where you bought them, from camcorders to cordless phones. Even cordless shavers.
As you've probably already noticed, most motion control shots utilize a combination of techniques. Before we move on to some more uses of motion control, let's take a look at Faith Hill's music video, Cry. This first shot has multiple persons, changing background elements, and people appearing out of thin air. For this shot, 2 complete identical sets were built. First is a clean plate of the abandoned mansion. We then have a shot of Faith walking in, next a shot of her facing us, a shot of the mansion in pristine glory. Here we have the final composited shot. This is another shot from the same video with a changing background element, plus a ghosting effect on the young girls. Here we can see the 3 passes that were made on the car. Here's a long arm Milo in action. And here's the finished shot again. Since the rig knows its geometry very accurately, any move that's shot with motion control can easily be exported to computer graphics. In that way, the movement of the camera in the computer graphics world matches the real world, and the perspective shift lines up. In this example of Francis Lawrence's work, The defocused panels and the butterflies were animated in CGI based on the motion of the camera. There are packages that track data well, but we still request to supply 3D information on a regular basis. We've seen an increase in the pre-visualization of shots with CG software. Sometimes, this is just to see how the shots are going to fit together, but occasionally, a really complex move can be planned out carefully in CG and then simply handed to motion control. Here's a pre-visualization of a shot for Spider-Man. The bell and the fly, as well as the airplane and the spitball, will all be CGI. The hallway is real, and the talent are all real. The reason this was previs was so the director could approve the move and how it was going to look before we even set the rig up. Here's the final shot. I think they had someone working on this single shot for over 1 week. Another reason for this to be prevised is it's rather hard to make a motion control rig change speed the way this move does. And in fact, I imported the move and shot it without any programming input at all. I was just a render engine. In this shot, we had to make the camera move in a perfect arc vertically. This is something that's virtually impossible to program quickly. So I created an arc in CG, exported it to the motion control rig, and shot it. Much simpler. Previs is going to be big in motion control's future. I've worked extensively to make sure that you can get the data out of the CG package into Flare as easy as possible, and I've also been working on modeling the rig in the CG, so when you previs, you can see what's really going to happen. I think the previs is going to let directors and DPs play around with more visually interesting moves and take the time it takes to get a really good result, rather than be worried about spending hours programming on set. There are a couple more uses of motion control which I'd like to cover. Frozen Moment can create a very different look, and even this can be combined with motion control. In these two shots, the camera move was used to position a series of still cameras, and the resulting images composited together. A specific feature of music videos, which isn't true of traditional photography, is the need to synchronize the move up to a soundtrack. This is normally done with the timecode trigger, but here's a use that I think pushed this even a little bit further.
In the mirror, let's roll. I got this paranoid chick, she's scared to come to the house. A hypochondriac who says ouch, she bought, whip it out.
Now the move across the hallway was too fast to do practically. So the whole move had to be programmed and timed out to know exactly how many frames were going to be pulled out in post, and adding that to the start point to make sure it all synced up. I made extensive use of a new feature in the software that allows me to look at the move against timecode and also look at the timings of each section in seconds and frames. Even so, this was quite a challenge to get right, as there are 7 different sections.
I got this that after 12 million sold. Mommy's a narcoleptic, always sleeping on hold. Got her tie the back of her head like Deuce Bigelow. I got so many girls across the... Just when we think we've seen it all, someone comes along with a shot that requires us to develop a new technique. This shot from the movie Simone involved the use of 2 motion control rigs synchronized to each other, one shooting the mirror image of the other to create the hollow effect of Simone. This is a technique we experimented with. It involves ramping the frame rate, audio track, and Milo move simultaneously, so that while the singer is in perfect lip sync, the camera ramps from 12 frames per second to 60 frames per second. The result is a rather dreamy overcranked movements changing to a rather frenetic undercrank motion. Motion control operators tend to divide shots into 2 broad categories: effect shots, where repeat passes are done and later composited together, and controlled moves, where the rig's precise controllability is the important factor. Everything you've seen so far are repeat passes. The following shots could have been done without motion control, but it might have taken longer. Tabletop shooters like motion control because they can design intricate moves that require exact focus pulls, and it'll do it again and again. That way, they can put their attention on what happens in front of the camera, not behind it. Let me demonstrate. Not perhaps the world's most exciting move, but I think most crane operators would hit the table or the glass at least 1 time in 5.
And I'm sure the AC would not want to have to pull focus on that one again and again. Another good example of this is the eye shot, where the camera has to push in and zoom in on an eye, keeping focus and not losing its mark. This is very hard for a camera operator in crane grip to achieve, but is quite straightforward in motion control.
There are people who believe that the final frontier is out there, in space. But on Saturday, November 1st, the exploration of the human mind begins. The newest thrill on the NBC Saturday trilogy, Sleepwalkers, November 1st.
In this music video, we have the long arm Milo doing a spectacular 360-degree revolution with barrel roll around the artist. I'd say damn near impossible for any crane operator to pull off without motion control.
Wake up! Wake up! Run, rush, and put a little makeup! I just have to fade away the shake up!
Thank you for listening to me. Hope this has been of some use. Always willing to help you with any questions you may have, and always ready for a challenge.